just the Alabama OC.
And welcome to the Maven Sports Show. I'm your host, Haven Harrington, joined by the crew. We're all together for the first time since COVID. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes, indeed. We got the band back together.
I know, right? We got my man.
It was good.
Quadruple A at the end, Rashawn Myers.
What's up, my brother? How you doing?
Guillermo,
Suave.
a.k.a. Ill Will.
What's good, people? Glad to be back on the scene.
And Imperial One himself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We in here. Let's talk some sports.
Reverend Rail. Who in the hell left the gate open?
I don't know, but I'm about to walk through it.
Hey, there we go, man. We got so much to talk about. So much to get to. Rod, why don't you kick it off? What's the first topic of the day?
Yeah, we got a bunch of things to get into. Y'all know how we do. We're going to try to discuss as many things as we can, brothers, but we always got to start local, man. So, of course, football season is upon us. It's going to be going down very, very soon. Getting kicked off in the ATL. University of Louisville returns to the football field with fans in attendance. Mercedes Dome Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. Louisville versus Ole Miss. Fellas,
Chick-fil-A kickoff, baby.
3-7 last year. Okay, 3-7. Everybody knows the issues that, abounded. There were plenty of them. They should have probably been 2-8. They probably should have lost the game to West Kentucky, but they found a way to get that win. So,
Go Tops.
for a team that had, here we go with this West Kentucky.
Dude, hey,
We remember what happened last year.
haters are going to hate.
No doubt.
I understand. Yeah.
But my first question is, the hype train has already started.
Left the station.
Everybody's undefeated. Everybody's going to go undefeated as soon as August gets here.
This is our year.
Yes, you got it. It happens every year.
It's ours, baby.
And we hear all this hype, being bandied about, and everybody's talking about it. Probably the biggest thing that I've heard early in this season is the defense. I'm hearing things about the defense could be the best since Charlie Strong.
That remains to be seen because they were, for lack of a better term, trash.
Well, and I was one of only a few people, surprisingly, that defended the team last year. Because as I kept putting
Shouldn't have.
No. Come on, let's be honest, people. Let's be real, and realistic. There were very few teams that were, sold on last year. From week to week, you didn't know who was going to be available, if a game was going to get canceled. It was an unknown like we had never seen before. The fans weren't even in tune last year. I knew, like I said before, I knew some diehard U of L fans that wouldn't even know what time the kickoff was, and sometimes they had Friday night games, and you got fans on Saturday like, what time the game come on today? Oh, it was last night. They didn't even see it. Right. They didn't keep up with it.
Okay, so let me ask you, if they go additional 3-7 this year, what's the excuse?
Scott Satterfield. But that was the excuse, in my opinion, last year, because he, in addition to all of those things,
he tried to go to
this person decides, you know what, this team really needs some more distractions. I'm going to go down to Bowling Green and talk to South Carolina about getting hired, and then tell them that I'm not talking to them.
Honestly,
out of all that's going on, do you
or
really
is it that the skill set of the players just ain't that good?
No. Well, it can't. Listen. Okay, so there's a combination of a few things. You have talent, but you also have the ability to coach that go hand in hand, because you've seen some great coaches take mediocre talent and have wonderful seasons. Just like you've seen some terrible coaches take excellent talent and have terrible seasons. So it is a combination of the two without a doubt. But again, as a person in his position, okay, and I'm not just going to say as a coach, but as a person that is in a leadership position in any organization, for you to take advantage of your position at the worst time possible, when you know all of this stuff is going on. These players, some of them are having to go home. Some of them can't. They're not even able to leave their dorms during the week. And you are going to go off undercover down to Bowling Green, one of the most high-profile college coaches in the country, because of how U of L has grown, come up to that upper echelon now of college sports.
Right.
You can't hide.
And now
He tried to slide down the bowling green like ain't nobody gonna see me there. Really?
And you know what I love?
I don't really think he was hiding. I think he was more so just letting them know that, hey, I can go find opportunities elsewhere.
Why? Why are you letting them know that now? Your second season.
Why? Because
he
he knows how Louisville is. If you're not winning in Louisville, they letting you go.
Well,
I don't
What
care
school
if you
doesn't let you go if
basketball.
you don't win?
Yeah, that's true.
Alabama.
No, you go with Alabama.
When has
Gone.
he ever not been winning?
Ask Mike Shula how hospitable Alabama is when you lose
know
it.
what
I mean, yeah, but
about
very
this
seldom.
Is that this right now, what's going on right now is a social experiment in testing. And this is what I feel is very interesting about
Yes, Professor.
this Louisville season. Okay. Louisville has made a concerted effort both through, the way their coaches have attacked the preseason as well as truthfully a lot of the media. Everybody tried to sweep under the rug what happened with Scott Satterfield and his flirtations with South Carolina.
He said in his press conference, if a job opened up in the Carolinas, I'm looking.
So the pulse of the Main Event Sports Show. What I'm hearing from you guys is y'all are more focused on looking back. All right, so is that being held against Scott Satterfield? Because I'm getting the feeling from
me,
a lot of
no.
the big media and a lot of the speak out there. I don't really want to say the fans because we haven't really done much interacting as of yet. But do you think everybody's looking forward, or are they still focused on that?
Okay, first of all, this is Louisville's media. And we all know how Louisville's media is. These guys just give you all the soup.
The bootlickers.
Yes. I mean, that's what it is.
No, it
It
is.
is what it is. So
They are groupies,
They'll
dude.
be
I swear.
positive. They're all going to be like, well, we think Scott Satterfield farts
Hey,
don't
coach,
stink.
what do you think
This
about the
farts like
season?
them in pledge. It's like
like
that's
they just want
disrespect.
to-
But that's why you tune into the Main Event Sports Show.
I mean,
because
but
we
that's
just
kind
give
of
it to you.
but that's kind of a theme with Louisville and their coaches. They'll sweep it under the rug like that. Shit don't stink. I mean, they do that with all of them. You look at a couple of them. They've done them with them
What
all.
program doesn't try to do that? UK this past
Because
summer
they tried
had like
to.
3 guys arrested. Had their assistant coach on the
He got
DUI.
arrested day before yesterday for beating up his wife.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
come on, that's
And did you guys hear the news today? 6 University of Kentucky players got arrested, and one of them got charged. 6 got charged with menacing, and 1 got charged with wanton endangerment for bringing a gun to a party that they got thrown out of. And literally, this happened 5 months ago. UK has known about it the whole time, has not said anything about it, and they were cleared by the student administration.
There you go. Well, it's almost football season, so
That's
I get
crazy.
it. I get it. But no, but back to your point. The original point is this defense going to be as good as Charlie Strong's defense?
Of course not.
No.
The only good thing
I'll
about
be
that
happy
is
we
the
get
fact
John
that
L.
people are
Smith
now.
on defense.
I think the only good thing about that statement alone is the fact that people are now using Charlie Strong as the measuring stick. That just shows, that people are finally coming around to just how well of a job he did here.
I mean, Charlie Strong's defenses were easily the best in the country.
Yeah.
And to
He
say
should
that-
still be the coach if you ask me.
And to say that you're going to
Yeah,
go
but that was his
from-
fault though, brother. He
Yeah.
left. He wasn't sent out
I
of
mean,
town. He
Texas
walked
getting
out.
$5 million a year, so
Yeah.
it is what it is.
For 2 years.
But it's just like you can't go from the defense that we had last year, which at the end of the season they weren't bad. At the end of the season they actually played pretty well.
No, here's what you can't go from.
But even them playing pretty well, they were just okay. You can't go from an okay defense and then all of a sudden jump to a Charlie Strong top 10 level defense without a lot of returning starters.
Well, that was
talented returning starters.
And a Charlie Strong type coach and coaching staff.
Well, I mean, Brian Brown was named one of the best, coaches under 40. 40 under 40 in the nation. I mean, he's considered, and even when he came over, Brian Brown, who's the defensive coordinator, he was considered to be one of the best young defensive coordinators.
He was there last
in
year?
the nation. Yes, he's been here since Scott Satterfield's been here.
And they still consider him to be the best
they've
40 or
improved.
under 40?
They when they first came in, Louisville's defense was ranked 110th. Last year, they were ranked 47th. This
Nice.
year, they're expected to be in the top 25.
So they get better. I mean, they finally added some depth. They finally have depth at all positions, at all levels of the football.
So you saying
defensive line.
their safety is going to be better this year?
But it's a problem, they're untested, and that's why you can't say you're going to have a defense better than Charlie Strong's when you're rolling out a bunch of untested guys that really haven't played together.
Here's a real problem with Louisville, U of L in general, the state of Kentucky. I just came up with this phrase recently. Kentucky deserves Kentucky. And this is the state itself. This state is used to second rate, next in line. Everything about this state just reeks of, we don't deserve better. That's the mentality of the state. After you have as high profile coaches at the same time as Rick Pitino and Bobby Petrino, and arguably one of the best athletic directors in the history of college of sports, you shouldn't. If I was the AD, I would have never gone after anybody less than Nick Saban after the fact, only to prove a point, knowing that Nick Saban's not coming here, but just to prove a point to everybody and put everybody on notice. This is the kind of talent we're looking for, and we're not going to accept anything less than. You reach out to your Les Miles, your Nick Sabans, your anybody, eventually somebody's going to say yes, even if it's just to the paycheck. You set a precedent about. No. We're not going to Appalachian State.
No, but the thing is, Scott.
But we went to Appalachian State. That's what we went and got.
But the general consensus was around
amongst
the nation, amongst football people, that he was one of the best available. If
who
not
said you have to go? Who said you have to go after people that are available?
Well, I mean,
everybody's available.
Does. Considering everybody,
here's the thing.
Has been a stepping.
It's all about the mentality.
Job.
It's all about mentality. No, it is. Because here's the thing. Everybody's available.
Let me ask you this.
Everybody's
you
available.
Tennessee and get turned down by your first 7 candidates.
So I mean,
it
depends. Because if you're shooting at the stars and you hit the moon, you still got somebody that's out of this planet. But if you keep shooting down in the Grand Canyon, shooting at the dirt, then that's what you're going to end up getting.
It's about optics. And all these universities want to look like, this is the guy we wanted, this is the guy we targeted, this is who we went and got. So, I think that Louisville went out after Scott Satterfield, and his first year, 8 wins. His first year. Yeah. So, I mean, you can't really complain about that. Now, last year it did take a dip, but with COVID, the shutdown.
So what do you think his win total is going to be this year?
You know what?
That's the question.
It's yet to be seen.
I think
and to find out what we think about it,
you know what?
Tune in next time.
You know what? We'll take a commercial break. We come back. We got some more things to talk about because we also got to talk about those guys up the street. UK football. A lot of things going on as we discussed earlier with UK football. We're going to talk about that after we pay some bills.
And we're back at the Main Event Sports Show.
You want my spot flash?
I know, right?
You can't get it because you ain't got it.
Hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to our first broadcast here on the Plug Network. I'd like to thank everybody for letting us get on here.
Yeah, that was our first segment, not our first show. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's okay. That's okay.
William got a little excited, people.
And for all those
Will's a little rusty. He ain't been here in 10 years.
My bad.
That's fine. But hey, for everybody that's enjoying everything you're seeing, that you come and participate in everything we're doing, go to maineventsports101.com, our website, sign up for our newsletter. And if you can, please hit that P for Patreon and become a patron of the Main Event Sports Show. For like $2 a month, you can keep it going so we can hire more writers, more staff, and improve the production.
Hey, check this out. We don't mind the kind that jingles, but we rather have the kind that folds.
That's right.
Don't say that, dude. I can't say that. We'll take whatever you got.
This is pass the plate along the Facebook internet with.
There it is.
There we go. But hey, next topic discussion. We kind of touched on it earlier with.
Well, we can finish up what we're talking about.
Want to finish up?
Let me tell you
show
something.
Ain't over.
No, you know what? We'll finish up talking about UL football.
That's okay. Absolutely.
Quick thing. I think they will be better. How much better? I have no idea.
Stop right there. You were very critical of the Louisville defensive line last year.
Yes.
I've heard a lot of hype around Yaya Diaby.
Who wasn't?
I've heard a lot of hype around Ashton Gelati, the freshman, true freshman. Victwan Brown, another true freshman. Are you buying into the hype that the defensive line is much improved and can be one of the best units in the ACC?
No. I will not buy the hype for a couple of reasons. And the main reason you got 2 true freshmen starting.
Yeah, that's a telltale sign.
It's going to take
brother.
them a while to kind of get into playing college football because you're going against experienced offensive linemen that know all the little small tricks. These guys will know these things. It's going to take them all to catch up to speed. It's going to take them all to kind of get some weight on, to get some muscle on, to compete and play a whole game. And no, I'm not buying into it. And that's why I can't buy into the hype of the defense. You have so many true freshman transfers you're depending on.
So was this the
No.
O-line or the D-line that
This
came
is the
to
defensive
port
line.
eating contest?
The O-line
Oh, that was the offensive line.
Oh,
came
that was
to
all
mind.
that. Y'all talking about the D-line.
FDKY, correct.
Yeah.
And
So-
speaking
Because
of,
the O-line came and all combined they ate a pulled pork sandwich.
There was one guy that
but
ate
listen.
just the one sandwich.
but listen. And speaking
now.
on that offensive line, their ability to protect Malik Cunningham and keep him safe in the pocket, give him time to make plays, will determine how far they go.
Well, I mean, yeah, and I totally agree with you. I mean, the two things that we've heard so much about during this early season is that Louisville's going to have a much improved defense and have a much improved offensive line. And everybody knows, how do you win games?
in the trenches.
Offensive line, defensive line.
Yeah.
So if your defense is literally stronger and your offensive line can block, then Louisville's going to be a lot better. I mean, you're talking about 8-9
I hope they
wins.
say-
Well,
Safety's got an understanding of what they're supposed
Let's
to
get
do.
down to the nitty gritty. What is their schedule looking like?
I want to put a caveat on that they're going to be much better. Because Malik Cunningham last year, as we saw, Scott Satterfield baby Malik Cunningham.
Yeah.
They try to keep him from getting hurt because that first season, my man will go out at least once a game with an injury. He's like James Brown with the cape. I mean, he was always going out with injuries, staying out for like a couple of plays and maybe come back in. Sometimes he'll finish a game, but he'll always be back next week. And last season, I honestly think they was like, listen, we don't want to get hurt. We need him to play a whole season, stay in the pocket, don't run this much.
They didn't let the reins off him until the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
You know, he finally started running, being aggressive, being Malik Cunningham. And I think Louisville was a lot better
They were a
that
lot
last
better.
4 games.
So if they don't baby Malik, then
Yeah, they lost by a lot less.
Absolutely. Well, the funny thing is that really and truthfully, when you look at their season in 2019 versus 2020, Louisville was 4-1 in 2019 in games decided by 1 score or less. Louisville ended up with 7 regular season wins. Last year, in games decided by 1 score or less, Louisville was 1-3.
No,
So
it's
you know that's the difference right there. You look at a team that finishes 3-7, you give them those other 3 victories. You know, you're looking at a team that's 6-3.
Yeah, and again,
You know,
last year was such
6
an
and 4.
anomaly.
You know,
And
last was a
people who
mulligan.
know and people who've been following us for a long time know good. Well, I'm not a Louisville hater. I'm just being kind of critical of them today.
Absolutely.
Because again, I never have been a Scott Satterfield fan. You know, and that's something. You know, I'm always the honest guy in the room. I'm always going to look at things without fan goggles on. I'm going to, put
He's
it out
just
there.
mad Mike Singletary didn't get the job.
No,
He's
listen.
still mad
You
about
all
that.
know that. Look, let's talk about best available. Hey, okay. Well, there are other colleges around the country who have recruited Mike Singletary. So apparently, I'm not the only
Mike
person.
Singletary still don't have a job yet, though.
Okay,
No.
but hey, it is what it is. You got Scott Satterfield. We'll see how that works out for you.
True that. That's fair.
We'll see how that works out for you. So, again, see, you had to distract.
Louisville hated me a little bit.
Look at it.
No. But no, I support Louisville. The only time I don't cheer for Louisville is when they play Western Kentucky. Everybody knows that. But I cheer for Louisville. I cheer for them very hard.
Either one of them when they play in that team.
I cheer.
Should remain neutral.
That's fair.
You live in Louisville.
I live in Louisville, but I'm a Western Kentucky alumni. That's all right.
Boo.
Right?
Okay, well,
That's
then
okay.
you just put your heel topper cape on and stay in the basement. Don't tell nobody.
Look, I'm gonna screw over both of y'all because Haven's playing knee hooky with me under the table, and you
both ways, but he's like this, man.
Hey, now, Real, you did ask the question earlier about their safeties, and Louisville safeties last year were horrendous. Like Isaiah Hayes and the other young man. I can't think of the other safety's name.
That just tells you he was really bad.
Both of those guys were gone. They are gone. They've been replaced by 2 traditionally black university transfers, Quinterio Cole from Alcorn State and Kendrick Duncan from Georgia Southern. So you got 2 bros coming over.
But I mean, you go outside
From the HBCUs.
You go outside of the state, get HBCU players, which I highly applaud. I think was a great move.
And both guys were all conference
But
players.
still, in the same token, you have local talent that you recruited on your bench.
Russ Yeast, that was the other
that
safety.
can play.
Well, I mean, Russ
You
Yeast
have
was
local talent right here that knows the system that you didn't have to bring in. That if you would have actually did some coaching, as Will related to earlier, you'd have done some coaching. Your team would have been in the gym. Your team would have been exercising, gaining bulk, speed, depth, stamina. They would have been gaining the things that they needed to be solid players on your defense as well as your offense.
What you got to say about that?
Well, I mean,
James Ingram?
I think I think that's fair, but I think at the same time that what we've seen for both the U of L football and basketball teams, that these coaches are hedging their bets. They're not putting they have guys. Ben Perry is a 4-star consensus 4-star safety out of high school. He was one of the most highly recruited safeties in the country. He's going to be a true freshman this year. There's some talent there at the safety position. All these guys are young, and so you know what? They say, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get as many good players as want to come here. From what I've heard, Kendrick Duncan has been one of the best 3 or 4 defensive players on the whole team since he got here. So I think that they're going to stack the roster with as many guys as they can, and then say, you know what? Here's the bone. I'm going to let y'all go fight for it. Go get it. Who wants it? And I'm okay with that.
Well, and once again, it's one of those things that when you rely on transfers and freshmen, you really don't know what you have until they play. It's like the 2 guys who transferred from HBCUs. Yes, they're all conference players at that level. They haven't played against D1 talent, and that's different. It's a different speed. It's a whole different makeup of player. The complexity of the system is different. So so don't expect these guys to
so
be
many Steve McNairs
Sam Madison, first game out.
I mean, but that being said, these are 2 guys that have been leaders in practices. They've been standouts in the early, with the early returns in fall camp. I mean, all you can go by is that.
And that's why I said you have to wait until they get out there.
Absolutely.
And actually play somebody. The first game against Ole Miss, which is going to be a great test because we all know Lane Kiffin is an offensive mastermind.
Yes.
And then he's
it's going to put pressure on defense.
Who could have been our head coach?
Listen, though.
Who could have been our head coach?
The first 3 games of Louisville season is going to tell you what kind of season they're going to have.
Lane Kiffin.
As a Raiders fan, I can safely say I did not want Lane Kiffin
Don't matter.
as my head coach.
Yeah, well, whatever.
So
You're a Raiders fan.
Well, you got Scott Satterfield.
hey, I'm okay with that. I like Scott.
But that reminds me, I'll never forget the day that UK hired Billy Gillespie. I was standing in line because the weird thing about it is they were expecting them to get Billy Donovan, right? I'm in Kroger, the Kroger over by Churchill Downs over on Central, and this dude in front of me in the line, his phone rings because all UK fans are waiting for this announcement. They got Billy? Billy Gillespie? Like, who? Billy who? And I'm even standing like, who the hell is Billy Gillespie? I had never heard his name.
Only
before.
reason he got the job is because he beat Louisville.
Who did Billy?
That's it. That's period. Like literally,
I
Texas
had never heard of him
A&M
before that.
Texas A&M beat Louisville in the NCAA tournament.
He was their
Billy
coach.
Gillespie from Texas A&M?
Correct. That's the only reason he got the Kentucky job.
I never knew who he was.
Yeah.
No
and
wonder
so he got to
people didn't know who he
UK.
was.
And now my impression of him left in my head is him running down that hall. You remember him getting chased?
Oh yeah.
He took off running.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that was like something out of an Adam Sandler movie.
Terrible.
Like that wasn't real. He really took Anchorman. He took off running from the reporter.
And needless to say, of course, we'll be back here on the Plug Network every Thursday at 7 p.m. So make sure you guys continue to tune in because we still have so many things that we're going to get into with Louisville football. So don't think this is the last time you're going to hear about this. We're going to get into position breakdowns, offense, defense, and everything. So if we don't touch on everything today, don't send us a bunch of mean texts. I promise we're going to get to it.
We're going to get into a state of depression.
Let's talk about these guys up the street.
No.
The boys down I-64.
Because no. I don't even want to go there yet. We're going to say that to the beginning of the next segment.
Okay.
Because we're going to wrap up this U of L one.
All right.
With the put a pretty bow on it.
Yes.
Us here at the Main Event Sports Show, U of L family. You understand?
Absolutely.
We're rooting for U of L except for when they play Western. And we're hoping that they have.
I root for U of L every game, including
one of the best
Western.
seasons that they ever had.
That's Will's disclaimer, by the way.
Fellas, we're behind you. Pulled pork aside, we're hoping that you have a very successful season.
Salute to all the homies on the offensive line.
And the ones that dropped the bars for y'all out at the
freestyle.
The freestyles, yo.
Yes.
That was pretty impressive, fellas. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there. Y'all did a great job. We were still proud to have you out as a team.
Yeah, Kobe Baines, shout out, man. Kobe
Hey,
Baines got
Tim,
some flows.
Kobe, we still got to do that track, fellas. I'll be in touch.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, but again, just want to let it be known that regardless of how we critique the team, we support the team. We support every, product that U of L puts on the field and on every field. So we'll get to UK on the other side of this break, folks. We look forward to coming back.
Went quick, didn't it?
I'll tell you what. Hey, listen.
We'll see you next week. No.
Yeah, not again. Hey, you listen to the Main Event Sports Show, and we'll be right back on the Plug Network.
and welcome back to my Everyone Sports Show. Man, so much to talk about, so much to cover.
Promise.
Especially
Do we have to?
we got to talk about the best football team in the state of Kentucky. And I'm not even joking.
We got a segment on Western.
The best football team in the state of Kentucky. I'm not even joking. Your University of Kentucky Wildcats. Say what you want. All the UK hate you want. I'm going to give them credit.
If they can stay out of jail.
I will say this. Their offensive line,
I'm just
the
playing.
past several years,
Actually not.
has been hellacious. Their offensive line has been done. A new guy they just got recruited, like the top, it's like a 5-star offensive lineman.
Yeah.
That's like 6'6", like 300 pounds. I'm going to give it to them. They can get offensive line talent and running backs.
Yeah.
If nothing else. Offensive line and running backs, hey, UK all day. Quarterbacks?
Hey, legit, one of the scouting services rated University of Kentucky's offensive line as the best offensive line in the SEC. And when you're playing the conference that includes Alabama, LSU, Georgia, Florida, just to name a few, and you're talking about the Kentucky offensive line is the best out of all those teams, that's pretty impressive. So,
Well, good for them.
That says a lot.
At least they got
No hate,
something
man.
good because their basketball team is trash. Trash. Nobody care about no UK
y'all feel the hate.
Frady cats.
Hey, but you know what?
But football, the past
whatever.
couple years, UK has been doing that thing in football. I'm going to give it to them.
Well, they were 5-5 last year. They went
Right.
500 in the SEC.
That's a cool-
so,
When they went
you
to
know,
one of
that's
them
a cool year.
consolation bowls.
I'm
every
about
year
that.
they pretty much win 4 or 5 games and just
That's
win
a
their
cool
non-conference
year.
games.
I'm
No,
gonna
that's
say,
every
these
year.
guys took a quarterback
That's-
and mauled people.
Literally
They took
every
a
year.
quarterback
And they went-
then mauled
they went to the
everybody.
Taco
With
Bell
the quarterback,
protein
with the
bowl.
wide receiver quarterback, they mauled everybody. So, hey,
It's fine. No, absolutely, and I think that you just talked about it. The quarterback position is going to be what tells the tale this year. They decided to move on from Terry Wilson. Terry Wilson, of course, with the COVID year, had an additional year of eligibility. Kentucky decided to move on from him, so now he is named the starter at New Mexico.
touchdown Terry.
Touchdown.
Get rid of touchdown Terry.
Hey, touchdown Terry. They decided to move on from him. Everybody thought that the young man Joey Gatewood,
Gonna be the next
the
big
transfer from Auburn, they thought that Gatewood was going to be
he's
the
already in
man.
the transfer portal.
And now he's in the transfer portal. And there's this Penn State transfer. Will Levis is named the starter just a couple of days ago.
Yep.
And now the hype train is going crazy. They're talking about how this dude is just he's got a crazy arm and he's just so super jacked in all his pictures. Like he's like the Hulk or
Speaking
something.
of Super Jackson, all those pictures. Who's this dude that tagged me on Facebook?
Oh, shirtless.
Oh, he got a shirtless one too?
Oh, he had a shirtless one.
He was in a black wife beater, and I captioned it, "Suns out, guns out." He's
A shirtless picture of himself, sucked in his stomach and everything. Like,
he said, "Hoorah!"
I should have known this was coming. But
Shout out to the Double Dog.
make sure his nipples are hard.
Listen, if you do one in you do one in Speedos, I'm reporting you to Facebook.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
no
saying.
Speedos. Never that.
No Speedos.
But what do you
Johnny Bravo.
Can we tell anything about Will Levis before this season? He's a guy who couldn't make it to Penn State. So now he's at Kentucky. We've seen this hype thing before.
All he has to do is hand the ball off.
I've heard they want to speed up the offense. They want to throw it down the field.
hold on.
What was it called? What was it?
Air raid.
Air raid. They want the air raid back, baby.
Time out.
You know what I'm saying? But
Kentucky.
Mummy ball.
I'm talking to you guys. Look right in the camera. I want to talk to all the Kentucky coaching staff that is currently down on parole or in prison. So everybody who's left over in their staff right now who's watching this program, I'm talking to you guys. Just run the ball. Okay. Stop trying to throw the ball. You guys have not been able to throw the ball in 10 years. Stop trying to do it. Just run the ball. You always have good running backs.
Except for when you play Louisville, because our run defense is awful. So throw that ball. I do want Louisville. Listen, I hope that Louisville. When is Louisville UK game? Is it Christmas?
They haven't been able to throw the ball for a while,
Last
but they
weekend,
got offensive linemen now. They put a big 300-pounder right there to be able to protect the quarterback.
He still can't.
They got a couple of 280-something pounders over there.
It doesn't matter.
To protect the quarterback. So all they got to do is give him enough time, and he can become a game manager. He doesn't have to be a real gunslinger with the running offense.
Brad Johnson, circle the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
For real. He can be a Trent Dilfer for real. Give me a good 6 yards, keep us on second and short, third and short, game managing, march us down the field, let us score.
Check down.
Yeah, it's all you gotta do.
exactly.
That's all
You don't got to
tight
You don't really got to
hit the running back in the flat.
Hey,
and hand it
hey.
off.
And then if they give
It
you
works.
one if they give you one on defense where they miss an assignment, guarding something, take you a 20-25 yarder down the field.
And folks, that's why we call him Reverend Rail. Who in the hell left the gate open?
I don't know, but I'm gonna walk through.
There it is.
You guys be sick.
So, all right, so we've heard all this about Kentucky turning the corner, Kentucky being now a program. What does success look like for them? They went 5-5 last year.
I mean, it's still Kentucky football, so.
With the full 12 games, if they
Right.
see at least in the 8-4 season,
I'm gonna say this.
Is 8 wins successful, 7 wins?
definitely.
8 wins is
seven
successful
and
with
eight.
just about anybody nowadays.
I'm
in my
gonna say
opinion.
7 and plus, and you got to get them this year because next year everything's gonna be completely different at SEC because you add
Here comes the Longhorns.
Yeah, you add Oklahoma and Texas, where Texas is trash. Oklahoma's pretty good.
True.
Pretty good, but they're just names, really. And people need to come to grips with that.
Oklahoma's offensively good, defensively they're suspect.
Oklahoma's actually good.
Yeah, that's true.
And then now you got like 2 pretty top-notch programs. It's like, and one of those guys is going to be the SEC East, so Kentucky's got to take another L to one of those teams.
Hey,
That's
I
right.
hope so.
Yeah, we'll check it out. And like I said, we'll still have plenty of time to talk about Kentucky and Louisville as it gets closer, as we get more reports from out of the fall camp. So we're going to definitely get to that. But I did want to, touch on a couple of, we, unlike most of the shows here in the city, we like to touch
Shots.
on the pro game just as much as we do the college game. So NFL, fellas.
My Cowboys will still be trash for another year.
There we go.
This is what they call a true Cowboys fan, a realistic Cowboys fan.
I'm being honest.
I mean,
So you're not buying in the Hard Knocks
We're
hype?
gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. We might not get.
You a Cowboys fan?
Yeah,
He's a
down.
Cowboys fan.
We're down.
He's not our Cowboys
Is
fan.
Dak Prescott worth $40 million a year?
I'm worth $40 million a year.
But my thing is, and y'all
Any
know
black
this
man
is,
that gets his money, I'm gonna say congratulations.
Yeah,
Okay, he's worth
That's
it.
fair.
well, my thing is, and it's
Here's
kind of
the thing.
fun being.
It's not really if he's worth it or not. It's if the offensive line can hold up long enough for him to prove.
Nah, Dak Prescott
that
is
he
already
deserves it.
shown. It ain't just the offensive line that he needs. He's got a lot of
He
areas to
needs.
improve
He
on.
still needs that offensive line.
Oh, well, every quarterback
He's not-
does, but
Because as
He's
long
not
when
that
that
next level.
offensive line is together, Dak Prescott makes the Dallas Cowboys the best offensive team in the NFL.
Yeah, now-
Because who's going to
Slow down,
stop?
Real.
Who's
Shut up,
really
slow down,
going
Real.
to stop us other than Tom
Real.
Brady?
Actually,
and
listen,
high-powered
yeah.
Buccaneers.
Well, actually, apparently last year a whole bunch of people stopped us.
This ain't about
No,
your heart, brother.
I'm speaking from
We got
the
to talk about
your heart, brother.
last year.
Hold on.
Brother,
Birdie
it's
stopped
about your
hard.
Hold on.
You speaking
I'm
from your
speaking
heart.
from the fact that we were averaging 32.2 points per game
And still couldn't
before Dak went down.
And still can make the
That's what
playoffs.
I'm speaking from.
And
I'm
still
speaking
make the
from the
playoffs.
fact that we were putting up almost 35
Yeah, we got
points
fans in the
a game.
crowd telling you bugging.
Right, well, you know what?
We're in front of a live studio audience, by the way.
Button pushers, flag wavers, none of that. I'm telling you that we were averaging 35 points per game before Dak went
But
down.
how much were your opponents averaging?
42 points.
Let's talk about that.
They were averaging at least about 28.
Hey, folks, this is what we call mental sports judo. Watch this. Speaking of $40 million a year, Lamar Jackson
Right.
still in negotiations for a mega deal.
All he need to do is go get Rich Paul real quick.
Nah, see, now listen, here's the thing.
This is the thing.
Here's the thing.
Yes, his mama negotiating.
Well,
His
nah,
mama's
hold on.
no, he doesn't have an agent.
Let's wait and see what it turns out, because if he lands the kind of money that people could say he would have gotten with an agent, then people gonna be all on his strap.
And this is going to be my question.
Ray Allen did it. He negotiated his own deal.
How important is this deal to the future of the NFL? Because if Lamar Jackson can sign this mega deal without an agent, do you think
Plus, why
this
do we
has
keep
big
saying, okay,
ramifications?
well, we be saying the same thing if Tom Brady was doing it. That's my thing. Why are we saying this? Because LeBron Jackson has a Southern accent? We think
No,
he cannot
they
go.
would- they would've said the same thing
So
if
are we
Tom
saying
was doing it.
that Lamar Jackson can't go in this room and articulate what he think his worth is? Because that's all it's coming down to.
No,
Look,
Will.
No, but hold on. Negotiating is about knowing your worth and saying, if I don't get this, or that,
Exactly.
I'm not playing for you. Why does it take another person to come in the room to say that for you? Why would you pay another person millions of dollars to walk in the room to say, you whispering in his ear? You know, like we see in the movies and stuff. The real famous people.
This will be a watershed moment. No NFL star has
No
ever done it.
NFL star done it, but a lot of
If it had been
professional
Tom Brady-
athletes have done it.
If it had been Tom Brady, they would have said the same
they wouldn't.
thing.
No, they
Only
wouldn't.
difference is they would have made it a
They would have been all on his strap. Tom Brady's setting a precedent by negotiating his own contract.
Yes.
He's the smartest man.
Yeah, the smartest man ever. And everybody else is saying about Lamar Jackson, what is he doing? That's what they're saying.
Lamar's going to show him what he's doing.
That's the point that I'm making.
If he doesn't get it by himself, still, I said slide.
Even if he gets what he would have still gotten less what he would have paid his agent. So say, for instance, just using hypothetical numbers, if he would have gotten $10 million with an agent, which would have left him with $8 million, if he walks out of there with $8 million by himself, it's fair and square. But people still won't look at it like that. They look like he lost $2 million I have an agent. No, he lost $2 million that he would have been given to somebody else.
I mean, but that's how they look at it. You got to realize this is a sports world that is running around money. Everything is based on money with these.
Of course it is. But
it's
my point
a numbers
being,
thing.
I completely understand that. But my point being, the way that people are criticizing Lamar Jackson to me is an insult to our race, because that is the only reason that people are criticizing him in the way that they are. If this was a young white quarterback, people would be giving him props out of this world.
Name one time in history where they haven't criticized.
Name one time in history that black people weren't the first to do something.
I think it's interesting.
This is nothing new.
We've always been the first.
That's my point.
But historically, every time we do something, haven't they criticized?
And then they come behind us and steal it. Once they realize, damn, they were on to something.
Exactly.
That's fair. But Haven Harrington, let me ask you.
Lamar Jackson is a very intelligent young man,
Hey,
and I hope this goes
a song, man. We should make that a song.
Will this fundamentally change if Lamar Jackson can get this big money without having to pay an agent a bunch of money?
He changes the whole outlook of the NFL. He changes the whole
or not because
it won't
because
change.
these
it won't change anything.
because a lot of these agents are salesmen, and they're gonna keep selling themselves to these young men. Yeah, I see. You see what Lamar did. Yeah, they got a way to make it look like.
You have to understand the type of player Lamar is. I mean, Lamar is MVP. You know, he took the team to the playoffs every year he's been there. He's an upper level quarterback. Now,
Very true.
If you're a mid-tier player, you want an agent because you want a guy that has a connection with teams that possibly get you in front of people that you couldn't get to by yourself.
Right. And on the other side of this break, we're supposed to be talking NBA. We're going to finish it. We're going to wrap up this NFL talk and Lamar Jackson talk a little bit more on the other side of the break, and then we're going to get into the NBA talk. So we'll see you on the other side.
And welcome back to the Main Event Sports Show, coming to you live on the Plug Network Online.
I mean, there we go.
You're back with James Ingram.
You are back with James Ingram.
James Ingram.
You are back with
Howard Hewitt and Charles Dutton.
I'm Charles Dutton.
Actually, it comes like
Hey, man, look, I don't mind being rock because I like taking out the garbage. I'm going to take out the garbage and tell Eleanor. Eleanor, if you're listening, baby, I'm taking out the garbage over here. I'll be home soon.
Hey, that used to be my show, man.
Hey, Rock was the joint.
Hey, man, y'all can talk about rock all y'all want, but anyway, we're going to talk about the rest of this UK football and their ability.
No,
Lamar Jackson.
Lamar. Oh, yeah. So we talk about the Baltimore.
Hey, we got an undercover. We got an implant on this show.
Right.
He was a real UK fan.
Y'all see, I try to hit him up.
Spygate.
But no, I'm not. I'm not a Kentucky sports fan at all. Let's be for real.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
But truth be told, if Lamar gets this done, everybody in the NFL
Gonna be on his strap. As if they're not already.
They're going to jump on his strap. And then here's the even better thing. He gets the deal done, and then first game of the season, they play the Chiefs. He gets that deal done and wins that game. Then everybody going to be looking like, oh, he's really on to something. And, you know, if I was him, you know what I would get on TV and say? I ain't got nothing to say to you niggas. I'm out of here.
Hey, square biz.
Hey,
Keep
man,
it simple.
I'm
Don't
gonna
even
say
talk
this.
to him. Just look at him and say, I ain't got nothing to say to you niggas. I'm out of here. And then walk away like a real $1 million man's supposed to do. And if you can't get your deal done on your own, that's always a good chance to call
Here's the
Rich.
thing. He can definitely get it done on his own.
Is how much it's gonna get.
Everybody's just going to criticize how much he
I
gets.
feel like he should get, but what if he gets a max number?
That's what I'm saying.
The only thing
even
about
if he doesn't, it's still ingenious.
The only thing
I do not
about
need
it,
to pay another man because you can get less than a max number with an agent. Having an agent does not guarantee you
But then
anything.
again, I feel like he's going to get the max deal too because you got to look at it like this.
He's Lamar Jackson.
Not only that, he's the Baltimore Ravens.
Of course, that's my point. And not just that.
If
he's
that got $40 million, Lamar will get 41. That's all I know.
My point being,
Lamar should get 50.
he's Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
So
I agree.
he's the Baltimore Ravens now, but he could easily be any other team That's the point that I'm making.
But the thing about Lamar, the one thing that I am not necessarily critical of him, but the thing that doesn't help you in the bargaining room is the fact that you have all this stuff going around about him not taking the COVID shot and kind of refusing to take it. That's not helping him. Hold on, no. I'll give you the floor in just 1 second. But you have that going on, and then you had him out there on the basketball court running routes and doing all that stuff with the kids over the summer. And that was something that a lot of people frowned on because they said, you go out here and you're playing and you could get hurt if you twist the ankle or twist the knee. What do you think about those two issues?
Miss me on both of those. The first one, Lamar's had COVID twice already, so
he's super.
He had it 3 times.
I mean, whatever. If he gets the vaccine now, he's already had like 5 times already. I mean, good Lord, the guy's taking COVID like orange juice. He might as well just keep going. I mean, really, he might as well literally just keep going. But you know what? But I understand about the COVID thing. Go get the vaccine. Go get safe.
I'm just saying, like at the bargaining table, I don't think that does him any favors.
But what
does the vaccine have to do with his pockets?
But I will say this: one thing that does do our favors is that the Ravens.
Tell me that. What does the vaccine got to do with his pockets?
Well, I think that if you're the organization,
it's going to affect their team.
Well, I think that what the organization will say is that because you are using some at-risk behaviors, we don't feel safe in putting this type of number out there for you because we don't know if you're going to be there.
Yeah, it's affecting his availability. If he gets COVID, he has to sit out.
But in the same token, even if he wasn't doing that, we have a COVID running rampant. They have a Delta version. Yeah. Even if he didn't do it, he could just be going to the
right there.
He could be going to the grocery store. Somebody could cough. He catch it.
I mean, but there are things called high risk.
Yeah, but the thing is though,
high risk behavior. But the thing is like
once you get the vaccine,
you expect a millionaire to sit in a house or something?
No, but I don't expect him to go to a house party. You understand what I'm saying?
I mean, get the vaccine. You kill all that. You kill all that. We get the vaccine.
Everything is about
We talking about millionaires with money. These cats ain't gonna sit still.
That's what the vaccine for.
We don't get no money. We don't sit still. We ain't millionaires.
And that I think that's going to
be. We don't sit still.
And that's why I get the vaccine.
But see, you got to understand.
The vaccine gives you plausible deniability. Look, I got the vaccine.
Right.
I still got COVID. And they'll be like, well, hey, you did what we asked you to do.
And you got the vaccine.
That's the whole thing. Is they can say maybe we're only going to give you 35 versus 42 because we don't feel safe about this investment at 42 because you won't get the vaccine. Now you get the vaccine, maybe we'll give you 45.
Now I will say this: now about him running around a basketball court, the little kids, whatever. Okay, time out. You're football players, right?
Yes.
You can't baby these guys. Well, I don't want you to run around outside. You may get hurt. Dude, that whole occupation is getting hurt.
I totally agree.
Look,
my thing is this. I'm okay with that. Get the bag first. Like, get the money first, then run around on the court.
You're taking a risk
because you're giving the opposition ammo. You're giving management ammo to argue.
Further to this point.
Okay, so you basically telling him pull a James Harden. Get the money,
and then you can eat all the sandwiches you want.
Yeah, that's true because not only are you not only are the people paying you considering you a high risk behavior because you're risking injuring yourself. It's like Ben Roethlisberger when he got into that motorcycle accident.
Get the guaranteed money first, man.
Ben Roethlisberger when he
the money first.
In the bathroom.
Get the money because you're also risking your own money when you're approaching a new contract. You're risking
basically playing like the NBA players playing and just get the bag.
Real with the transition.
Hey, let me ask you something. Like, if you got a meeting with Death Row Records tomorrow, are you gonna go out?
I ain't talking to Suge.
To do a high wire act. Are you gonna go and put that at risk? That meeting at risk? You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna go in the meeting with a strap because I feel like going in there with Suge is at the risk.
I mean, but the thing is,
say Motown then. How about that?
Oh, Motown. I'm going in there with Barry like, where your daughter?
That's silly.
But the whole point is that you want to go in there and put your best foot forward. I just think that Lamar is not putting his best foot forward with some of the things.
But and what Rail was saying, and comparing this to how the NBA players who have all historically done better with their collective bargaining agreements and their guaranteed contracts, and guaranteed money. It seems like the NFL players could stand and learn a lot if they were to watch. And the NBA players have done what no other professional sports league has done. They have harnessed their power.
They run the league.
They run the league. It was a collective bargaining agreement some years back where I didn't even know it, but the players were actually getting the greater portion of the revenue.
Yeah,
and I think
thanks to
after that bargaining agreement, it went 50-50. Because here's the thing. All right, you don't want to give it to us? We walk. Like, dude, you have to harness your power, to take advantage of everything that you can. And these NFL owners know that if these players were to do that, they would have no choice but to give in to them. But the players do not have the wherewithal to band together.
Yeah, ownership still has all the power.
They have all the power. But in the NBA, and speaking of the NBA, man, there's been a lot of movement in the NBA in the offseason.
Absolutely.
Let's touch on that for a second.
And before we get to that, you talked about bags. Just congratulations. Shout out to former Cardinal Terry Rozier. $97 million max contract, 4 years.
Jackpot.
You know what?
Got the bag.
Jackpot.
I'd like to give a shout out as well to PJ Watson's girlfriend for taking my man to the cleaners for $300,000 a month.
Yes,
the bag
indeed.
as well.
Hey, you got that bag, girl. So
You know,
you're a simp.
She pulled off the greatest trick ever pulled.
Hey, did you know she actually wrote a book
Right
on how
along
to
with
get
Dr.
with
Dre's
a pro
right.
athlete?
She wrote a book on how to get money from athletes. Executed that book to PJ.
And PJ still got with her.
PJ, okay.
This book
She
is
pulled off the Kardashian curse.
Yeah, now, once again, I'm going to talk to all NBA athletes, all the younger NBA athletes. I know you're watching. I know you're paying attention. So do not get your girlfriends off Instagram. Now, if you want to get like a little weekend fun on Instagram, cool. Don't get your wives off Instagram. Stay away from Instagram models.
See, what y'all
go back to high school.
misunderstanding.
Get the ugly chick in high school that liked you from the beginning.
What y'all not understanding is that these dudes, some of them are very insecure,
Right.
and a lot of them, they're very young.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very, what's the word that I'm looking
Impressionable.
for? Impressionable, but that's not the word that I'm looking for.
Gullible.
Not gullible. Materialistic.
Sex crazed.
So, and they look at these women as items. And with them being so materialistic, they want that trophy on their arm. So they want to find the most attractive woman, so on and so forth. And then they find themselves in situations that they can't get out of once they
And
get
she
them
better
pregnant.
sign the most attractive prenup in America.
Yeah, it is what it is. So, shout out to the kids. Be young. Try to be wise, but if you can't, at least make the most of it. Strap up. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Please.
When I was 18, if I was making that kind of money, dude, I would have been, oh gosh.
You don't have no idea. I wouldn't be sitting here.
Dude, I would be a mess.
Now,
I would be a
Will,
mess.
you did kind of bring up and start to go
Game
into
mess.
all the movement.
But speaking of the NBA,
Yes, sir.
sorry,
Movements.
Phil Jackson is my biological father. Just wanted to put that out there.
Allegedly.
No, sir.
The Lakers are going to win the national championship.
I'm starting to walk more
a
like
world
him every day.
championship.
After all the moves the Lakers have made, I'm telling you, the AARP league,
If they
got it on lock.
don't win the championship, what could possibly be an acceptable excuse?
Injuries.
First of all,
Aside from injuries aside.
That's it. That's the only thing that's
Injuries aside, what could be an acceptable excuse if the
Nothing.
Lakers do not
there are
win the championship?
5 to 6 teams better than the Lakers with
In
their
whose
moves.
opinion?
Okay, first of all, the Lakers would have been a great team in 2012. Like if you had them on like 2K12, brother,
This
it's
dude,
on.
this dude is acting like the Lakers
But-
just won the championship 2 years ago with pretty much the same exact team that they have now, plus Russell Westbrook.
I think
Let's
about.
we're gonna act like that.
Excuse me, Rashawn.
Yes, sir.
Let me explain something.
Yes, sir.
When you look at the Lakers,
Yes, sir.
they have,
Okay.
if I'm not mistaken, 5 of the 6 best top 15 scoring players in NBA history.
Well, let's stop. Let's please hold on.
All right,
Because we can't go any further without putting out the disclaimer.
He's LeBron hater.
No.
Oh.
It's the difference between being a LeBron hater and hating LeBron. He hates LeBron James. He's not a hater. Haters just throw out, he hates LeBron James.
Can't stand
He
him.
wish he could tackle LeBron when LeBron gets out of bed in the morning. Like this
This is the
dude.
guy that lives for Larry Bird, ladies and
Dude,
gentlemen.
this dude once said, no. He's being very true. That Larry Bird was better than LeBron James. He ranked his top 10. He put Larry Bird because he said Larry Bird had more championships. Come to find out they had the same amount. And now LeBron has more. And he, so his only response to it was, yeah, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Now, and here's the worst part about it. He's a Lakers fan. He's a Lakers, so he walks around in shame.
He used to be a Lakers fan. Ever since they got LeBron,
He hates LeBron so much. The Lakers
Go-
going to win a
go-
championship.
go Jazz.
Phil
Go
Jackson's my
Jazz. Go
biological
Jazz.
father. I don't know what else to say.
Hey,
We'll see.
Look, I like the moves that they made. Okay, I like them going out there and trying to get as many names as they can. But as an Oakland Raiders fan, I've seen a team that gets a bunch of over the hill dudes that used to be good and put them all together.
Let me explain something to you.
The Los Angeles Lakers got rid of their 3 of their 4 best shooters, replaced them with non-shooters, and are now trying to get a bunch of minimum guys to put around a bunch of old dudes.
Rashawn.
The biggest question for the Lakers is
Russell Westbrook.
How many of those guys
triple-double? Are you serious?
Y'all fade the black on the
guy-
show.
have you seen?
Just go ahead, fade the black. The show is over.
Double.
We'll see y'all next week.
Have you seen the way they have defended?
Thank you. I love you.
Have you seen the way that they have defended Russell Westbrook every playoff series that he has ever played in?
Hey,
Russell is.
We're gonna fade him out. Thank you all for joining Thursday.
Right here on the Sports Network, Main Event Sports Show. Catch us on our website, www.maineventsports101.com.
And the Lakers will win the title, by the way.
We'll be back.